What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to A Therapeutic Edge. Today we're going to do something a little different. You know, this is the second day of 2020. It is January 2nd, and I've been reflecting back on 2019. Now, I know, a lot of knife channels do best ofs and 10 best, and, I wasn't going to do one, but here I am. So what this really is kind of a retrospective on what 2019 meant to me. And in the meantime, I'm going to share some of my favorite knives from 2019 with you as we kind of go along. Things that stood out, things that made me happy, things that were very cool that happened in the knife world over 2019. Let's start with this. This is the CJRB Centros. I love this knife. Oh, sorry about that. I'm shaking the camera. I love this knife. I do. But I love mostly what it represents. Now, it was designed by Dylan Mallory, who is a friend of mine, and he is a really nice guy. That did not influence my decision. This knife represents what happened in the budget knife world in 2019, and it was good. Comfortable, usable, good materials, well-made and thoughtful knives. $40 or a little less. Not that long ago, a $40 knife was something you'd pick up at maybe Big Five, and it would be, okay, this is great. We got some cool stuff from Cold Steel this year. In fact, they just released their 2020 catalog, and there's even more cool stuff coming. But one of the things that they released was this. This is the 8010. I've been a Cold Steel fan for many years. Back before I was into really collecting knives, I had Cold Steels because everybody did. This is everything they can be doing done just right. It is S35VN. It is comfortable. It is beautiful. The fit and finish on this knife are as good as any knife I own. And I own a lot of knives. This happened earlier this year. Cold Steel really set a precedent with this thing. I am glad to see it, and it is one of my top 10. In fact, I did end up with 10 knives of 2019. Next is a Tucson. This is the TS 177, and this is just such a good knife. I love this thing. Now, Tepe Designs and Night Morning are two designers that work through Tucson. Tepe Designs also has his own stuff out there. This would have been unheard of from Tucson a year ago. It is M390 steel. It is on ceramic bearings. It has an action that is as good as some of my $300, $400, and $500 knives. It is comfortable and beautiful, and it is absolutely one of my favorite knives of 2019. Next is a knife that my wife, Women Carry Knives, actually got at Blade Show East in Atlanta in June. This is a prototype Deka. Now, they've released these finally with different scales than this. This one is sort of heavy, considering what they are. But I fell in love with this design on the spot. And this, well, here's the thing about this. Oops. This is considerably more a representation of what I love that Hogue is doing. Hogue is absolutely, oh my goodness, one of my favorite knife makers in 2019. They have really, really landed on the market in a powerful way, and the Deka is an example of that. The fit, finish, build, design quality, and materials in this knife are spectacular, and I just love it. I've had a bug out now, and I let it go. I will be getting one of these for myself because I think it is, at least to me, for my hand, a little better than the bug out. This is just a great knife, and therefore it is in my top 10 for 2019. Next is a knife that came out early in 2019. This Spyderco is so good. It really is. The Smock is just a fantastic knife. A little schmutz on the blade. And there's a little schmutz on the blade because I carry this thing constantly. Now, I didn't get mine until very recently. And what a miss that was. This is an exceptional pocket knife. Now, I did drop a deep carry clip on it. I tend to do that for the knives that I'm keeping. This is multiple deployments. The materials are really good. This is Spyderco stretching themselves. And as far as I'm concerned, this is one of the best knives, absolutely, of 2019. Next is a reasonably new knife. This is the Monterey Bay Knives Sprocket. It's a McGinnis design. It is so good. I carry this thing constantly. Look, it's just an excellent pocket knife and representative of what small makers are doing through OEM manufacturers out there. I have a couple of those on the table still to go. I've had this for a couple of months, and it pushed some other things out of my pocket and out of my top of the year because this is just a spectacular knife. Now, the next one is sort of special to me. This is an Adrian D'Souza design, along with his business partner, Patrick. This is a Dam Designs Yokai, and I got this at Blade Show West. I love this knife, and I don't just love it because the designers and the company are cool dudes. I love it because it is very good. I hope, much like with this, and even the next knife that I'm going to show, I hope that this is an example of what is to come in 2020. I think I even said that in my 2020 video. Small makers working with OEM companies to produce fantastic pocket knives with great materials in interesting designs. I love this knife, which is why it's in my best of 2019. Next is an Purvis Designs. This is the Primordial Mark II. This is just one of the best knives to hit the market all year as far as I'm concerned. The blade to handle ratio is perfect. It rides the pocket beautifully. It is well designed and gorgeous. This is just a great pocket knife. Now, these are a little hard to come by. Everything else on the table so far you can get pretty comfortably. I don't think you'll be able to get your hands on one of these unless he makes more or you find one on the secondary market. But I couldn't let this pass because when this landed in my hand, actually when it first landed in my hand, I was concerned because it's not a very big knife. But the way he built this handle fits even my big old meat hook very comfortably. And the blade to handle ratio on this thing is perfect. This is an exceptional pocket knife. If you are interested in one of these and want to chase one down on the secondary market, I thoroughly recommend it. The eighth knife we're going to look at is another knife that I picked up just after Blade Show East in Atlanta in June. Man, this is the Chaves Ultramar 229. This is the Riot-built version of his 228 Custom. I love this pocket knife. And you can tell because it's got snail trails on it. I even bent the clip. I think you can hear that. Hooked it up coming out of my, hooked it up actually on the stairs coming up one day. And I don't care. I mean, I care. I wish that wasn't the case. But what I mean by that is that I carry this thing a lot. And so it absolutely resides in my top 10 best things that happened in the knife world in 2019. You can get these on the secondary market. They've done a second run of them recently. They will likely do another. They are about $350, which is an excessive amount of money. But man, do you get a lot of knife for the money. If you're into knives that cost that much, and a lot of you won't be, I don't blame you, but you're looking for a place to put your money, this is an excellent choice. And the final knife is really new to the channel. I got this just last week, but it immediately became a favorite, and this is also a representative of what's happening. This is the Midnight Cat Studios design built by Maxace Sandstorm. This monster is an example of what OEM companies like Maxace, can do when they put their minds to it. This is M390, the beautiful compound grind. The thing is enormous. I mean, it is really big. But that's okay. It's a favorite of mine because it is so ridiculous and yet very useful. I've carried this thing a lot, actually, in the week since I got it. And the edge they put on this and the blade design, look, it is an enormous and ridiculous knife. But it's just as useful in the pocket as something like this. It really is. in its enormous size, it hasn't given up like the functionality of just a standard pocket knife, even though it is a pocket sword. All of these really are examples of what 2019 has been in the knife world. And what it has been is very good. If you're into budget stuff, the amount of excellent budget knives on the market, well-made, beautifully manufactured knives, is endless at this point. In the, let's say, $30 to $50 range, it's almost limitless. In the $50 to $200 range, which is everything up to about here, your options are through the roof. 2019 has produced some fantastic knives, but they're not done. Now they've shown they can do it. Now they've shown that they can produce knives like this in the $100 to $200 range, and they're going to keep doing it because that's how they keep the market. It's been a great year for American companies building knives like the Hogue. It's been a great year for big companies like Spyderco. It's been a wonderful year for small makers finding good OEM designers and making fantastic knives. Even this. God, I love this knife. I really do. You know, Chavez built a reputation for himself with his custom stuff. And when he moved to Riyadh, there was a lot of noise about that. But I'll tell you, people are as in love with this as they were with his 228. So what was 2019? Well, 2019 was a phenomenal, just phenomenal year in knives. It has been my pleasure to have started this channel. It's been my honor to have you guys as an audience. It's been my pleasure to have my Instagram page. I love sharing this stuff with you guys. I love collecting this stuff. 2019 has been the year that I went from being a knife collector to a host of a YouTube channel. I went from being a guy who just liked sharp things, really, to somebody who's been to both Blade East and West. 2019 has been a big year in knives. It's also been a big year for me, and you've all been a part of that. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please feel free to like the video on your way out. If you have any questions about any of these, feel free to ask down in the comments. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. I'd love to have you here on a regular basis. We'll see you next time.